Last class session, we started talking about library research, and today we want to finish up that topic, and we'll be talking about the last 5 steps in that process. The third step, which we were just beginning to start last time, asked you to look at types of information that you might need to successfully research this particular subject. And by types of information, I mean something very specific here. 2 very specific types of information you can gather. One type is known as primary information, and another type is known as secondary information. And in terms of a very simple and not exactly accurate definition, primary information or a primary source is an eyewitness account. Somebody who was actually there at the time is reporting on an event as it happened. And there are all kinds of primary resources. An interview with someone is a primary resource. Somebody's diary or personal papers are a primary resource. If you're a scientist and you keep a laboratory notebook that charts every step in an experiment, that's a primary source. Secondary sources or secondary information is that information that from a distance in time has looked at the primary source and has analyzed it, criticized it, worked it through some sort of critical process, and written about it. Most of what we read in journals, magazine articles, textbooks, encyclopedias are secondary source documents. So you have to think about your particular topic, whatever subject you're going to do your research on, and think about the availability of primary and secondary resources of information. Okay? The fourth step asks you to estimate the quantity or the amount of information that you're going to need to write a paper. Now, the quantity of information is often based on the length of the paper. If you have to write a 10-page paper, you're going to need to do a lot less research than if you're going to be asked to write a 300-page paper, or at least I think that's true. So quantity also depends on what's available, because sometimes people choose to do their research on topics that are relatively new. They're in the news right now. They're just happening. So there's not going to be 100 years worth of scholarship or thought or writing on a particular topic. So quantity is sometimes determined by availability of information. And often when you hear the word quantity, people often automatically think of its partner word, which is quality. Quality and quantity are often thought of in the same sentence. So after you've estimated the quantity of information or material that you need to think about the quality of the information that you're going after. Now, quality in terms of information which you find in the library can be judged in a couple of different ways. You can find out who wrote the book you're thinking about reading. Is this person a scholar? Is this person well known or well thought of in his or her field? Okay? So who wrote the book can say something about the quality of the information. Now, our library subscribes to over 15,000 different periodicals, magazines, journals, newspapers, and whatnot, and they're of different quality. And you get different types of articles in these different periodicals. So quality can sometimes be determined just by the magazine or the journal that you've read a particular article in. So you need to think about quantity in terms of amount of information and quality in terms of the value of that information. Now, the sixth step is one that I personally have the hardest time with, and that's thinking about budgeting my time, thinking about all the things that I have to do in terms of writing a research paper, doing research, processing the information, converting the information to useful, usable knowledge, and then, of course, actually sitting down and writing the paper in absolute flawless, beautiful English. So you have to budget your time because each of those aspects or elements takes a lot of time. So the sixth step is to look at everything you have to get this paper written, and then think about the amount of time it'll take you to do each of those steps. Now the seventh step is very similar to the second step. In the second step, remember, we broke the topic into subtopics. So in this next step, or the seventh step, you're looking at a topic and trying to see it in terms of its broadest possible way, broadest possible terms. And it asks you to think about all the academic subjects or the academic disciplines that might have something to say about your topic, something that contribute to your topic, to the discussion at hand. One of the reasons for doing this is that different academic disciplines or different academic subjects look at the same topic from very different vantage points. They have very different views of the same topic. And sometimes if you're deciding on an approach to a topic, how you want to discuss it in your particular paper, you may decide to approach it from an economics viewpoint rather than a political science viewpoint, or a religious viewpoint rather than a legal viewpoint. So think about academic disciplines or academic subjects that might have something to say about your topic and think about the different ways that they might address the issues that are discussed in your particular subject. Okay, the very last step brings you to visit me. It's the step that finally brings you into the library because in the last step, this 8th step, is where you need to identify the types of material in the library that are going to be useful for your research, the type of reference materials that you're going to need. And again, we have all different types. We have materials that can help you locate books, materials that will help you locate journal articles, data software. So the types of sources that will help you identify and locate the articles, the books, the videotapes, the audio cassettes, whatnot, those things that you can find in the library. And that's what brings you to me. So now if you've done all of this, all of these steps before you actually step foot into the library, you will be more than ready when you actually get to the library and start doing your research. But if you go through these steps, or through most of them anyway, you're going to have a better idea when you actually get into the library what it is you're looking for, how much you need, how scholarly you want it to be, how much time it's going to take you to do it, and you're going to be able to write a quality paper. Any questions?